Well, we now go back to Russia, wherein the country's constitutional court gave its approval to an attempt by Vladimir Putin to reset the count on his presidential terms, opening the way for him to run again for president in 2024. Well, we've seen a re-established connection with a journalist and a political commentator in Moscow, in Russia, Mr. Konstantin Sayomin. Mr. Konstantin, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Please confirm if you can hear me.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for having me.
All right, great stuff. Now, before we get to the politics in Russia, let's talk about the big story that is, that's making headlines all over the world, that of the coronavirus. And we do understand that Russia still has the lowest infection rate. As a matter of fact, there are 63 reported cases, to be quite specific. I stand to be corrected. And one then wonders then, why does Russia have such a low infection case, looking at the fact that, Russia enjoys a trade relationship with China, which is right next door?
I don't think that we have to talk about a miracle here. Some people are claiming that most of the cases are simply underreported, and we don't have the exact statistics and the truthful statistics from the ground. Because, the more you are testing, the more you are measuring people entering the country, the more you know about the spreading of the virus. And so far, up until recently, generally among the public and within the government, there was such an attitude to the problem that it is not really a significant thing to take care of. So they started testing massively just maybe weeks ago. And that's why, and that's how. Also, Russia is not one of the most popular destinations for the air travel after the sanctions were imposed in 2014. So, but these are mostly wild. I think that this is a pretty typical situation for not, but also for other post-Soviet republics who are like Belarus or Kazakhstan are not reporting huge numbers of infections, and this is probably explained through what I said, through the lack of mass testing.
Now that the Constitutional Court has given the thumbs up for President Putin to run again, reports are now emerging that he is reportedly planning to address the nation and announce that he is postponing a nationwide vote on the major constitutional amendments due to safety concerns around the spread of the coronavirus.
There was some information that the vote, which was scheduled for the 22nd of April, might be postponed. As far as I know, it was not postponed. It is not postponed yet. The thing is that it was not going to be a referendum, so it does not necessarily mean that anything might affect the initial plans of the Kremlin to push these amendments forward. I think that even if they put it the vote for October, it does not change anything at all. They have it planned and architectured in advance, and they will go on according to those plans. So far, I haven't heard. I might be wrong, but at this moment, we haven't heard anything about the reschedulement of the initial plan.
You have President Vladimir Putin's detractors saying that the Constitutional Court's decision did not come as a surprise, as the court is widely viewed as, as dominated by the Kremlin and its charges controlled by Putin's administration. So are these assertions correct?
I think that they are correct to anybody who is watching, who is witnessing the situation from Moscow, who is seeing it from inside, because the Constitutional Court is voted by the Federal Council after the President makes his choice and picks the 16 judges to be voted for. And because the Federal Assembly, the upper chamber of the Russian Parliament, is also picked by the President, is also under the control of the Kremlin and the presidential administration. You can guess how will such a body vote in case it is needed. So, yes, I think it was very predictable. And, although it is arousing a lot of discussion aside of Russia, in the world in general, it is not a hugely debated issue here. Most people are not concerned about what's happening with the Constitution and with, however, how many terms Putin is left to rule.
Is he perhaps using these amendments to purge his opponents, or does he want to be president for life?
It's hard to say who are the opponents now. After almost more than 20 years that he's running the office, there are not too many people who could be seriously taken as his opponents. So I don't think that this is a mechanism, an instrument in his hands to get rid of those people. There's no serious opposition, neither in the parliament nor outside of it. There were a couple of relatively minor opposition leaders today who were protesting, but their voice is insignificant. And I don't think that we could explain what's happening to the Russian Constitution and what's happening to in relation to Putin's sequential terms through this lens. I don't think that he's worried about any opponents at all.
So are Russian people excited about these amendments? Do they feel that they've got control over these changes?
Well, the truthful answer is no. They are not excited and they are not interested. Completely disenfranchised, completely ignorant, completely indifferent. What they really care about now is the economy, the situation with the ruble, who is falling down after all the global markets going the same way. And they are also very frightened and very scared with the coronavirus thing. So a constitution and the amendments and Putin's possibility of running up to 2036 when he's going to be 83 is not on their minds at this point, if you want to know the truth.
So those who are not at all happy with this ruling, are they pro-Vladimir Putin? I mean, for Putin himself to be quite confident of a victory?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Could you repeat it?
Those Russians who are not happy with the ruling, are they in support of President Vladimir Putin for him to be confident of a victory if and when the country goes to elections? Well,
from what I heard and I understood, because the connection is pretty poor, there are still many people who are very unhappy with this decision. They are signing petitions. They are trying to express the dissatisfaction in the media, in the press, but still they are a minority. Most of the people are, after what Russia went through in the 90s, and there was a complete social catastrophe they had to survive. And after all that, they are very thankful to Putin for bringing the country out of this nightmare, of bringing them up out of this abyss. And that's why they are very flexible on many things that the Kremlin proposes. So there is an opposition, but it is, as I said, insignificant. I don't think that we're going to see any protest action, any attempts to put a stop on this constitutional reform. The correct word, the correct description for what's going on is indifference and ignorance.
Among those who are not too thrilled with this decision are the legal fraternity. We have about 350 prominent legal experts who noted a ruling in 1998 opposed a proposal to reset the presidential term following the adoption of a new constitution in 1998 when it was put forward by then President Boris Yeltsin. Is the principle of setting a precedent not followed then?
I think that despite the fact that many people who took part in the 1998 debate are still active, and I guess there were 14 out of 15 judges today or yesterday who voted in support of Putin's proposal. I think it doesn't really matter what happened in the 90s. It is a totally new environment. It's a totally new atmosphere. the whole system of power is under complete control by one center of authority. And I don't think that we should expect any opposition in that regard. And any change in whatever they said in the past does not matter today. It's totally irrelevant. They acting, it's like a musical theme which is composed by one author, one composer, and it is played very consciously by all actors, by all participants. Like recently, 85 regional parliaments voted in favor of the amendment, regardless of what was the debate within each and every parliament. They all supported the proposition. So I don't think that we should get into the mechanics of how it is being made possible. It is possible, and it is the fact of reality now.
Among the many other amendments, Konstantin, now President Putin and the court agree that they want marriage to be defined as the union between a man and a woman in a revised constitution, ruling out gay marriage in the process. Is this ruling not against the rights of the LGBTQI community?
Well, as far as I know, there's not a visible LGBT community in Russia that would possibly have a voice and a voice against it. So, quote, what the court actually said recently, literally written in the justification signed by the court and judges, Russia has the right to make decisions on individual questions regarding sexual relations as well as personal relationships that are tied to sexual ones. It has the right to do so by leaning on traditional ideas of family values in the context of the traditional and confessional composition of Russian society. Plus, one of the purposes of the family, according to the verdict of the Constitutional Court, is to produce children. This is the exact quote. Nobody can force Russia, is also to recognize same-sex, interpreted as an attack against LGBT community. But I don't think that, again, given the situation in the economy, given the coronavirus crisis, it may cause any debate and any serious opposition.
Konstantin Siomin, a Russian journalist based in the capital, Moscow, joining us via Skype. Thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated.